Hi. Now, this time, I would like to tell you a story. I had, during my life as a Christian, I had a couple of amazing dreams, and I had some experiences which were extraordinary. So today, I'm gonna tell you the story how I lost and found my little boy. Now, that was 27 years ago. It was during Christmas time in December. I had to go to the mall, and at that time it was Woolco, and there were an entrance which would actually first lead you through a hallway. There were stores left and right, and then there was one big door in front of me where you could go into Woolco. And I had with me my 3-year-old son and my 4.5-year-old daughter, and they were holding hands and I was holding them, and I just had to pick up one item. I had a little, little music cassette. I mean, that was like 27 years ago. There were little music cassettes you could buy, and that's all I wanted to buy. And I picked it up, and we were all going to the cashier, and I just let go of the hand of my daughter and to pay for that cassette. And I did, and then I looked back down and she was still standing there, but my little boy was gone. And so I did what everybody else does, you start looking around, calling his name. There was some clothes hangers with t-shirts, I looked underneath there, he wasn't there. Started to walk into the aisles, and he wasn't there. And obviously with every second I started to get more nervous, and I called louder and louder, and he was just not answering, and he was just not there. And then I started to leave that area, and unfortunately, because it was Christmas time, there were lots of people in the mall, and I started to actually move away from that area, and started to holding my daughter, and starting to almost run, and like, did you see a little boy with a red sweater? Did you see a little boy with a red sweater? And everybody's like, no, no, no. And all of a sudden I started to get panicky. Like, there was a panic coming into me, which was like horrendous. And I was like running around with this little girl on my hand like a chicken without a head. And all of a sudden I felt like, oh my God, I need to get her away. I need to get her in the car so I'm free to look for him. Not that I'm gonna lose her in the middle of all these people. And so I actually did now, which became, inside of me even worse. I started to leave the mall, and I went right across the parking lot where I went to my car, and I put my daughter in the car, and I locked the car, and I went back into the mall, again into the first entrance, started to walk down that hallway, and all of a sudden I stopped, and I closed my eyes, and I started to pray to God. I said, God, please give me my little boy back. And I mean, I was so full of fear, you have no idea. It was the worst moment in my life, and the worst experience at that point. It was probably about 10-15 minutes when I saw him last, and it felt like an eternity. And I have never been so afraid in my life, and it had an impact on the rest of my life, I have to say. So yeah, I was just, all of a sudden I was just standing still, closed my eyes, and started praying. And while I was praying, it felt like as if a blanket was falling down on me to the ground, and with the blanket fell my fear. I was all of a sudden completely calm. And I opened my eyes and I looked towards the big entrance, and I didn't move. I just looked at the entrance, and people was storming out on all sides and back and forth. And all of a sudden, the people who started to come out started to either walk left or right, so that the space opened up. And I see, and there's standing a woman, and she has my little boy on her hand. And I was like almost sleepwalking. I was like completely out of it. And I was just walking towards her. And here's my little guy. You know, I could see he had cried, but now he had the biggest smile on the face. And I just went down on my knees and I was like holding my little guy. And I remember tears running down my face. And I was hugging him. And I was just so thankful and so glad to have him back. And then I got up because I wanted to thank that lady. And she was gone. And I remember looking, and I thought I've seen the back of her head in the crowd, but all of a sudden she was gone. And then I took my little guy and we went back home. But I never forgot that incident, the way it unfolded, the way how this fear was going off me, the way people had stormed out uncontrolled out of the store, and all of a sudden they would start to go left and right, opening up this space, and there she was standing. And then she disappeared. So, of course, you know, I cannot say I know she was an angel, but the more I think about it, I felt like if I would have found a little child, I would have waited until the mother welcomed her child back, and then, you know, would have had a little chat and say, yeah, you know, this is where I found him, and it's all good now. And you know, I would have had a chance to thank her, but she just turned around and left and disappeared. So deep down, I believe she was an angel. It was an amazing experience, and I will never forget it. Praise the Lord.